But Frank Lampard has had about, if I'm not mistaken, about 20 different backline combinations in his last 40-plus Premier League games. So does that indicate he probably doesn't know what his best backline is, Scott?
I think he knows what he wants in terms of, as I say, Mendy in goal, Chilwell left back. I think end up being Reece James, but there probably will be some rotation between him and Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, and then it's another centre back. He hasn't had the time or the ability to get the players he wants in. Dave, rightly so, talked about Mendy and the fact that it's taken so long. You know, if there was one signing to be made in the summer or in the off-season, it would have been him and in goal. This is his first Premier League match for Chelsea. Same for Ben Chilwell, due to injury as well. Once he gets everybody fit and right, I think you'll see a much more settled in terms of not rotating back four. And then, as I say, I think you'll see the numbers come down conceding-wise.
So in your personal opinion there, based on what you've seen so far, who would be your back four picks, Scott?
My back four pick would be Chilwell left back, Reece James right back, Thiago Silva and Kurt Zouma. Rudiger's going to go. Whether he's going to go in this transfer window or not, I'm not quite sure, but he's just basically been ditched completely. So it's between Christensen. I like Tomori, but I don't think he's quite ready. It's between Christensen and Kurt Zouma. Kurt Zouma, for me, gives you more defending in terms of he wants to defend. He loves defending. He's a threat, as we've seen, going forward, and he's also fantastic defensively. Whereas Christensen, in terms of getting your... I wouldn't want to say he doesn't want to get his head dirty or he doesn't want to put his head into tackles or whatever. But for me, in terms of those two, I'd go with Kurt Zouma just purely because he's the better defender. What
about you, Dave? Your selection?
Yeah, look, I think Chelsea have invested a lot in Christensen, and I think that behind the scenes they've probably been a little bit left a little bit disappointed. I don't think he's quite the player they thought that he was going. They signed him in the face of interest from pretty much every top European club, including Real Madrid were the favourites. They got him as a kid, as a 14, 15-year-old kid, put him on a fortune. I don't think he's blossomed into the type of player that Chelsea need. I don't think he suits the Premier League. I did a few games on Chelsea last year where pretty much the worst of the goals that Chelsea conceded came from Christensen mistakes. I don't think that he's the long-term successor. I think Zouma has got a couple of faults, but he's not a player that I would particularly want to play up against, I have to say. I think Chilwell, Zouma, Mendy, I think that's set in stone. I think Reece James will come in. His crossing ability as a striker, my goodness. I've never seen a fullback put in that many crosses. I would love to play with Reece James. And then I think that they are look, Thiago Silva is not the long-term solution for Chelsea. But Chelsea are one top-quality centre-half away from being almost back to where they were.
Do you then foresee that one centre-half away to happen this transfer window, Dave?
No, they've already signed Thiago Silva, and Thiago Silva will know, as well as everybody at Chelsea knows, that if they can get a good year out of him, qualify for the Champions League, perhaps win a cup, then he's been brought in to do what they wanted to do. Beyond that, if you want to challenge for the Premier League, given how good Liverpool are, if you want to challenge for the Champions League, which is exactly what Chelsea want to do. They want to get back to where they were. You know, they did win the Champions League. They're serial Premier League winners. You're going to need a top centre-half to do that. I don't think it's going to come this window. Next season, for sure.
But Frank Lampard does have to get that settled backline as quickly as possible because time is not something that you can afford to have in this division as well. I mean, also as a fellow defender in that backline as well, Scott, you do need that consistency to kind of build chemistry with your teammates, don't you?
Yes, you do, definitely. And I think, nowadays, I think it's more going forward than defensively, but nowadays there's still much more rotation than there used to be in my day. But you're absolutely spot on. It's about building relationships on the pitch. And if you know you're going to be in a certain situation, if you're with a different player almost every week, you don't know who's going to be alongside you, where he's going to be, is he going to be dropping off, is he going to be playing as the last man? You have to be so careful with that. So I do honestly think, as much as a lot can be thrown at Frank Lampard's Chelsea defensively in terms of the numbers for goals. Remember last season, he wasn't able to bring anyone in. There was the transfer ban. Of course, they lost not just the best Chelsea player, but the best player in the Premier League with Eden Hazard as well. So it was very different that way. This season, he's brought in, Thiago Silva, Ben Chilwell, and Edouard Mendy. And today is the first day that they've been able to play together in the Premier League. Let's just wait. Let's just try not to judge them too much. Let's give them a bit of time, if we're allowed to in today's world, to just gel. And once they will, and not have that rotation, then I believe, as I say, they will look very, very strong defensively. And it's a great opportunity for Kurt Zouma. Dave's right. I can see next season them going in for another centre-half. I think Thiago Silva's already said he wants 2 years because he wants to think about the World Cup as well. So he's got that as motivation. So I think he can be a short to mid-term solution for Chelsea. This is now a great opportunity for Kurt Zouma to say, if I have a great season, you don't need to go out and spend 50, 60 million pounds for another centre-half, because I am that man.
Just picking up on what you say there, Scott, there's a little bit more rotation these days in the team as well. I mean, is that idea of having the same back four week in, week out, which is something that worked very well in the 90s, worked very well with the Invincibles as well, I wouldn't say outdated, because there are a lot of benefits to having that consistency, as both of you have pointed out, but perhaps it has evolved a little bit differently as well, because if you look at Man City, the season that they won in 2017-2018, I think it was the season that they scored 100 points, they had 21 different starting backline combinations, this not considering substitutes as well that would have come in during the game. And in that season alone, they've had the best defensive record, only conceding 27 goals. So is that idea slowly changing as well, Scott?
It's a really good point. I do think Manchester City, especially in that season, the ball was never in their own half. I mean, they were that good, and they blitzed the whole of the Premier League, and which is absolutely fantastic. And you talk about spending money on fullbacks. But what did Pep Guardiola do after his first season, when everyone's saying you've got to adjust to the Premier League, you've got to play a different way? He went out and spent £80 million on 2 fullbacks. So, you know, I understand what you're saying about the rotation. I think Pep doesn't really... Who am I to argue with Pep Guardiola? I think he should concentrate more on defence. But when I saw him at Barcelona, and I covered Barcelona game in, game out, that it was all about... It wasn't about defenders. It was about midfielders playing in that position. So as long as you've got the ball and you can try and have the possession, that's all what he was concerned about. I understand what you're saying about, is it outdated, but I don't think it is. I think the reason why there's a lot of rotation nowadays is because sports science is playing more of a part. They're showing that someone's maybe coming towards an injury, so they're able to read that. And obviously the games just come thick and fast now as well. So in terms of generally, I still think as a left back, if I'm playing and if I'm feeling good, I want to be playing all the time. And I think defensively is different to offensively as well, where you need to be really sharp on it all the time. So for me, I still think you need to have a proper back four.
Is that how you see it as well, Dave, that consistency still plays a very big role?
Yeah, I don't see the necessity to change fullbacks. I never have. And no matter how the game progresses, I still think we know fullback has gone from a position of defending to probably two of the most important positions in a starting 11, particularly if you're at the top end of the league and you want to win things. The overload that they provide. I've never seen the necessity to change fullbacks. I think you've got 2 world-class fullbacks, you play them every week. The question for the top teams is, how good are your centre-halves? You know, can they cope with when your fullback gets caught out of position and you're on a counter-attack? Scott's right. We saw Pep do this with Mascherano and Peel and Piqué. He would just leave 2 back. But you can do that when the other team can't get the ball. You know, not every team is like that. So I don't think Chelsea are there yet. I think they've got some way to go. But there again, I don't think that there are many teams who can play Pep Guardiola's style of football. But I do think they need a rock-solid centre-half that's going to suit them for the next 10 years.